That former staffer is Miles Taylor, and he is joining me now. He was chief of staff at the Department of Homeland Security during Trump's first term, and he wrote the anonymous New York Times op-ed criticizing Trump, though he has now set up a legal defense fund at endpresidentialrevenge.org. And Miles, welcome. There's a lot of pressure on you right now and a lot to get into here, but I do appreciate your time. I want to just get your thoughts from kind of a national security point of view on the fallout of the Trump-Musk public spat. I mean, first, what ran through your mind when you saw it playing out?
Well, look, it's the biggest reality TV show in the world right now. And so like anyone else, I think we were watching that at home and saying, this is a very dramatic episode to witness. But more fundamentally for us, because we've been on the receiving end of these orders of presidential revenge, our second thought as a family was, well, it seems like the likeliest thing to happen next is Donald Trump and his allies are going to try to get revenge against Elon Musk. And that probably means him undertaking some of the same unconstitutional tactics that he's directed against me and my former colleague, Chris Krebs, and law firms and universities. Why is that significant? Well, because if the richest man of the world is targeted by presidential revenge and has to fight back against it, that may help the others who have been in the crosshairs of the president fight back against those unlawful orders. So I'll admit to you, Alex, my first thoughts really were selfish there, that if Elon gets targeted by this, it may help out the others in some ways that are trying to evade unlawful retaliation.
Musk's business empire, the national security tentacles, if you will, reach into the military with Starlink projects for the U.S. government, as well as Ukraine and other allies. Spy network projects with CIA and Defense Department. Musk also got access to data from government systems during his Doge tenure. He's got connections to China. Miles, what are the implications if he decides to somehow wield that power?
Well, look, I mean, Elon's record here isn't perfect, and there was all kinds of conflicts of interest when he came into government. But, I think the thing, if I had a moment to advise him, I would say, you may be the richest man in the world, but there's no one richer than the United States federal government. And so if the Trump administration wants to target Elon Musk in retaliation for the things he said, there's no underestimating the vast authorities and powers on behalf of the U.S. government. And so I do think it's not unreasonable to assume the Trump administration will accuse Musk of being compromised by China, that they will potentially cancel contracts. There have been suggestions of seizing his businesses and even deporting Elon Musk. Some of those things may seem outlandish until they actually happen. So I would not think that this is something that's likely to be buried over the weekend. There's a lot of hurt feelings here on both sides, but it goes much beyond the hurt feelings of two men in a way that could affect potentially millions and millions of people and the national security of the United States.
Let's see. We're going to talk about Trump's order against you. You've asked two inspectors general this week to investigate whether DOJ and DHS are carrying out what you argue is an unconstitutional order targeting you not for a crime but for dissent. So what is your response to Trump accusing you of leaking sensitive information and saying your conduct could possibly violate the Espionage Act?
Well, my first comment, Alex, would be it's very ironic coming from Donald Trump, a man who was accused of absconding from the White House with stacks of highly classified information. I can say with great confidence, and I know that no one would doubt me in this, that I, of course, did not leave government like Donald Trump with stacks of classified documents, because you learn in the national security community, you do something that stupid and you go to prison. My criticisms of Donald Trump were not classified. It is not classified to criticize the president of the United States, and you don't need a permission slip to call out the president's character. And that's why I came forward 7 years ago, is to say, I think Donald Trump is operating impetuously. He's a danger to the country, and if reelected, he will engage in a campaign of revenge using the powers of the presidency. And now he's gone and proven my point. What I find very disturbing, though, Alex, is the language he's using to come after me and my family and Chris Krebs is so Orwellian that it's almost comical. except for the fact that it's real. There are very real legal implications here, and not just for us. This is much bigger than the Taylor family, because this is a direct attack on free speech in this country. Donald Trump is showing that if he wants to target anyone, for criticizing him. He can sign with the stroke of a pen an executive order and investigate you in a federal probe. Now, legal scholars around the country have told me this is so nakedly unconstitutional, and that's why we are taking legal steps to try to shine a light and expose some of that illegal activity and hopefully get orders like this reversed so they can never happen again.
How did you learn of the executive memo? I'm curious what you felt in that moment. I mean, did your blood run cold? And what has your life been like since then?
Well, Alex, look, because we've spent years, my wife and I, talking about the likelihood of presidential revenge if Donald Trump won the presidency, we expected at some point to be targeted for speaking out. And we were prepared for that. We did not expect it to go to this level this quickly. We didn't expect the president to be ordering investigations into critics for First Amendment protected speech. That's actually never happened in the 249 years of America's existence. No president has ever done that. And so as we were watching the news in real time, I think it hit both of us that this was going to be not just a dramatic political episode, but it would upend our lives. And I've had to leave my job because of it. My wife had to return to work. Financially, it's put us in an extremely difficult position. And we've faced renewed death threats against our family. And we've had to take that into account. And we've had to stay in different places because of that. So we're grappling with that at the moment. I will say the one silver lining of it all is we have been floored by the support from across the country. People have come out of the woodwork to help us make this possible, this legal step that was taken this week to notify the watchdogs. And folks have gone to endpresidentialrevenge.org, and they have effectively crowdfunded our defense. And that has meant the world. I mean, that has saved our family financially from the possibility of having to sell our home to pay for lawyers to protect our freedom.